Hey, third graders. Today is Wednesday, May 20th, and today we are going to be talking about multiplication patterns. So we are going to look at a multiplication table and look to see what patterns we can find within this table. So here on the slide, I have a multiplication table here. We can see the numbers 0 through 9 running along the top and 0 through 9 running along the bottom, and all of those multiplication facts in here. So let's say I wanted to know what 4 times 4 is. I would go to 4 over here and then move down to 4 here. All right, and that would land on 16. So this table tells us our multiplication facts, but we can also find a lot of patterns within this table. So let's look at some of the questions that I'm going to model for you. Number 1, which numbers have only even multiples? So remember, multiples are numbers that you land on when you skip count by a number. So if I wanted to find the multiples of 2, I would need to skip count by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. Those would be the multiples. So we want to know which one of these numbers, 0 through 9, have only even multiples. And as I move down the chart, I can see the multiples, like the multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Well, 2 is an even number, so it's going to have even multiples. Moving on to 3. That's an odd number, so already that can't have an even multiple because it's going to start with an odd number. 4 is another even number, so as I move down, I can see 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, that only has even numbers as their multiples. If you look at the ones place, all those numbers are even. 4, 8, 2, 6, so those are all even multiples. All right, 5 is an odd number, so even though it has some even multiples, some of them are odd. Okay, like 5 is an odd number, 15 is an odd number, because if you skip count by 2, you wouldn't land on those numbers. All right, so which numbers only have even multiples? Those are going to be the even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, and 8 from this chart are all going to have only even multiples. All right, number 2. How are the multiples of 2 and 4 related? So here's the multiples of 2. If I look down the list, and here's the multiples of 4. So now we want to see what connection they have. So I see the first multiple of 2 is 2, and 4 is 4, and then 4, and then 8, 6, and then 12. So the pattern that I'm noticing is that the multiple of 4 is double the multiple of 2. Because if I land on 20, the multiple over here is 10, and 20 is double 10. So the multiples of 4 are double the multiples of 2. So that's the pattern that I see between those two numbers. All right, moving down to the third question. What pattern do you notice in the tens place in the multiples of 5? So we're looking at the tens place. So if I go to the multiples of 5, first number that's in the tens place is this 1. Okay, because the 0 is in the ones place, the 1 is in the tens place. So I'm just going to focus on the tens place. So I see a 1, a 1. Then I see a 2 and a 2, a 3 and a 3, and a 4 and a 4. So it seems like it's counting up. Every 2 multiples, the number in the tens place increases by 1. So we started with 1, that happened 2 times, then 2, then 3, then 4. So I'm going to do my best to word that. in a way that makes sense. The number in the tens place increases by 1 after every 2 multiples. All right. There we go. And we're going to answer one more before you're going to practice some. How can the multiples of 2 and 5 help you find the multiples of 7? So let's think about how those three numbers can be connected. Because right now, 2, 5, and 7 seem like they're all random numbers. But the more that I think about it, I know that 5 plus 2 gives me 7. So let's see if that shows anything on the multiplication chart. So we're looking at the multiples of 5 and 2. So I'm going to start with, let's see, we already know 2 and 5 would give me 7. But let's look at the next line down, 4 and 10. Well, yeah, 4 plus 10 gives me 14. All right, 6 plus 15. That gives me 21. So the pattern that I'm noticing is that when you add the multiples of 2 and 5, you get the multiple of 7. So when solving these types of problems, you really have to look at the chart and think about what connections and what relationships you see between the numbers. So I've done 4 examples for you. So if you go down to the next slide in your slides, you have 5 more problems to work on that are very similar to the ones I just showed you. So use this video to help you solve the next 5 problems, and make sure you're using your multiplication chart to help you. As always, when you're done with your practice problems, make sure that you check your work and make sure that you work on your memory jogger.